Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki LaRose and today we're doing a spring makeup look. To start this glam, I'll be prepping my eyes with a little bit of the Nars Soft Matte Concealer in the color Custard. So dipping my brush into that concealer, I'm going to use this just to clean up underneath my brows. My brows are already done. I did them off camera. I talk about this all the time. It takes me a long time to do my brows, so I usually just do that off camera just to skip a step. So I'll be placing this just right underneath. So this is a good trick because it's just going to help to color correct your eyelids, and that way when you put your eyeshadows on top, they're going to be more true to color because you're starting out with a nice blank canvas. My next step is going to be grabbing one of my favorite actual eyeshadow primers. This one's from Nars as well. This is the smudge-proof, tinted smudge-proof eyeshadow base. I use these all the time. You'll definitely recognize this if you've seen any of my other tutorials. I love this one in particular. This is just in a deeper shade. This is in medium dark, and this is going to be like my first color on my eyes. And really I use this almost as like my transitional color from my eyeshadows for the rest of my eyeshadows to go on top. And since this is my product, I'm going to directly apply it to my eyelid. But I'm not going to use as much as I usually use. I usually use a ton of this product. Grabbing a blending brush. This one's the Morphe collaboration with Jaclyn Hill. It's the JH45 brush. It's just a simple blending brush. So just using the windshield wiper motion, I'm just going to blend this primer all over my eyelid and then just kind of softly into my crease. And this has great grip to it as well, so it's going to help to grip onto any powder eyeshadows that I put on top. And it does help a lot with creasing as well. Okay, so that is on. It's nice and blended. So now we can move on to our powder eyeshadow. So I'll be using the chocolate brown palette from Huda Beauty. So the first shade I'll be using is this kind of like light peachy one right here. This is really pretty. And using a really large fluffy brush. This one's from Morphe. It's the M533 brush. This brush might be discontinued. I'm not positive. And this color is so soft and so pretty. It's going to be pretty much on top of my eyelid and all across my crease. Like when I think of spring colors in terms of makeup, I think of colors like, this is one of the colors I would think of as like a light, neutral, peachy tone. It's just so pretty. This palette is so pretty. I feel like it's not talked about enough. And like with any of my crease colors, I really love to bring it all across my crease and really onto the side of my temple, feathering it out, and then even along the side of the bridge of my nose and in my tear duct. And what this does is just, it really elongates the shape of my eye, and it really just gives me the illusion of a bigger eye, which I love. I think it's just, you know, obviously it's more flattering. Who doesn't want bigger, beautiful eyes? So it's a great technique just to think outside the box. Don't just keep it, you know, in where your eye shape is. Bring it out and just really, really exaggerate your eye. And it's easy to do that with light, neutral colors because they're more forgiving. It's not like I'm taking a black eyeshadow and bringing it out towards my temple. That would just be way too dramatic. So the softer the color is, the more you can get away with bringing it outside of where your eye actually ends. Next up, I'm going to dip in a little bit to this other neutral matte shadow. And I'm going to work this into my crease, and I'm also going to take a flat brush in a second, and I'm going to pack this onto my eyelid. So switching to a small flat brush. This one is a MAC 239 brush. This is great for like packing on any color and just really like getting the color on and, like I said, like packing it into place. Next, I'm dipping into this warm medium brown. And I'll be just blending this into my crease. Okay, so my next product is going to be eyeliner, and I actually picked this up when I was shopping for my drugstore makeup. So I found this at Walmart. It's from a really inexpensive brand called Profusion Cosmetics. I think this was like $4, but I'll make sure I link it in the description box. Anyway, this was the inspiration behind my spring makeup look and behind like the rest of the colors that I chose for this tutorial. So I'm really excited to try this. I have not used it yet. Like I've swatched it on my hand. It seems beautiful and it seems pigmented, but of course everything looks different when it's applied on your eye. So let's try this out for the first time together. So here's a really good tip. If you're going to use like a colored liquid liner like this one, make sure you don't do your mascara first, because as you can see, I couldn't even avoid getting this onto my eyelashes, but I'm not going to worry about it because inevitably I'm going to put my black mascara on top anyway, and it will help to coat that and to camouflage that mistake that I just made. But it's actually a really pigmented eyeliner, so yay for $4. I'm gonna let this side dry before I, go in and like fine tune it too much. I want to move on to this eye. And I'm just layering it just to make sure that the application of it is even. The first like initial line that I drew, it just wasn't as pigmented as I want it to be. So by layering it, I'm definitely getting more of like an impactful bright color. So it's worth going over it a couple times. So before I move on to anything else, I am going to do a coat mascara just because I can't stand seeing this lavender in my lashes. So I'm going to grab one of my favorite mascaras. I've used this before. It's the Legit Lashes from Huda Beauty. And this mascara is double-ended. There's a volume side and a curl and length side. I'll be using both sides of this mascara, but I'll be starting with the curl and length. Now, normally I always say that it's best to get your wand and get as close to your lash line and the root of your lashes as possible and wiggle it back and forth and then pull it straight up. But in this case, I do not want to risk getting mascara on my, pretty perfectly placed lavender liquid liner. So I'm going to kind of teeter on the edge of being safe, and I'm not going to get too close to the root of my lashes. Moving on to some lashes, I'll be using the Mega Flare individual, well, they're kind of individuals. They're, like they say, they're Mega Flare, so they look bigger than individuals, but they're the same idea as an individual lash. They're actually really easy to apply, and they are from Ardell. I use these all the time in my makeup kit and on myself. I love these lashes. So taking tweezers, I'm gonna get to the very root. The glue is really strong on these packs, like to the point where they almost damage the lashes when you're trying to get them out of the pack. So I recommend you take your time and you be careful when you're taking them out because they can rip apart pretty easy. I'm not going to bring these all across the length of my eye. I'm just going to focus them more towards the outer portion of my eye, going towards the center. So I'm actually gonna go in and add a couple more individuals, and these are more of like a true individual. They're very small. They're the short length Mondo Studio Professional lashes. So I'll be adding a couple of these more towards like the inner part of my eye, just because I want a little more lash than what I have on. Okay, lashes are on. I'm gonna let them fully dry down, and then once they're fully dry, I will go in with one very small coat of mascara just to make sure they're nice and blended with my lashes. Okay, so my skincare is on as usual, but I am gonna go in with a primer. I don't usually love primers at all, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I never use them on my channel, and I rarely use them in my professional makeup kit, but I like this one from Laura Mercier. It's the Pure Canvas Primer. It's illuminating. It's silicone free, and it just feels like just nice and glowy. It's really simple and straightforward. It doesn't feel like it has too many like filmy ingredients on it, which is normally what I don't like about primers. So anyway, I'll be using a little bit of this to finish up my skin prep before I put my foundation on. I'm just going to blend this all over. I think the reason why I like this, and it's so funny because my husband just pointed out that this looks like the Supergoop glow screen, the sunscreen that I use a lot on my channel. This looks and feels just like it, so that's probably why I like it. It doesn't feel like a primer, it just feels like a glowy like moisturizer. Now I'm going to move on to one of my favorite foundations of all time. This is the Luminous Silk Foundation from Giorgio Armani, and this is in the color 6.25. I'm going to pump just a little bit on my painter's palette. Same brush. This is going to look really tan initially going on my face, and the reason why is because, I don't know if you've noticed, but like my face is very fair compared to the rest of my body. Like, I tend to be like, naturally I have more color to my body, like my chest and my arms, and my face, however, it doesn't see the sun, first of all, so it's always just naturally lighter than the rest of my body. And when it does, I have tons of sunscreen on, or I have a hat on, just something to protect my skin. And then on top of that, you know, with skincare and anti-aging ingredients and even like retinols and vitamin C's, all of those things tend to brighten your skin. And with that, it can actually make your skin just look lighter. So my face it just never is the same color as the rest of my body. So when I first initially apply like a foundation that's like this color, for example, it's gonna look shocking when it hits my face because my face is so much fairer than the rest of my body. But the reason why I'm going for a color like this, I never try to match my actual skin color, like my face color, because like I said, it's so much more fair. So when I'm picking out a foundation for myself or even like for clients, I take into consideration this whole region, like my whole chest, not my neck so much because my neck is usually pale as well, but my chest and my shoulders, my hands, this whole area. That's where you want to take into consideration when you are picking out your foundation. You don't want to just look at your face color because most of the time our faces are a lot more pale than the rest of our body. Moving on to concealer, I'll be using one of my favorites. I love this concealer. They nailed it. It's from Jouer. It's the Essential High Coverage Concealer. It's a liquid concealer. It's like it says, it's high coverage. Man, this is high coverage, so you don't need a lot of it. I still end up using a lot of it because I love concealer under my eye. It's like the first thing that I like to see done on my face is my under eye concealer and my brows, and then I'm like a happy person. So this is in the color Wheat, and this is my product, so I'm going to directly apply it under my eye. It's gonna look really funky. I'm gonna go in with a small beauty sponge. This one is from Sonia Kushak, I think that's the name. These are great. They came in a pack of 3. I love these sponges. So I'm gonna take this, it's damp already. I'm gonna start to just press in my concealer. But I'm not gonna overly blend it. I'm gonna press it down and I'm gonna walk away and I'm gonna let it dry down for a little bit while I do the rest of my cream contour. Okay, now I'm gonna let this hang out for a little bit and dry down and self-set while I do my cream contour. I say cream contour, but really I mean like cream bronzer because I'm just gonna warm up my skin with this. This is the Fenty Beauty Match Stick in Mocha. So I'll be taking this first underneath my cheekbone. And then along just the side of my forehead. And that's it for now. Bring it back to another drugstore favorite. This is the Real Techniques 204 brush. This is a buffing brush, and this really is like an incredible buffing brush. So I use this all the time, both professionally and on myself. These are great, great brushes. So I'll be using this to work in my cream bronzer. And when I'm stippling my cream products, like especially cream bronzer or cream contour, when I'm stippling it and blending it onto my cheeks, I'm not gonna work in a downward motion. I'm gonna make sure that I'm using only upward motions to blend this product because I don't wanna, in any case, bring my face down or my cheeks down. So I wanna be very careful when I'm blending this, not to be too free about it and too like all over the place. I wanna have more control. So I'm stippling it only upward rather than like getting in there and like really working it in. You run the risk of applying it and blending it too low. So just something to keep in mind when you're blending your cream contour products. Think of upward strokes and all like upward movements, like going up. Because you never want your face going down. You only want your face going up. I'm just going to lightly tap that into where we applied that highlighter. The same thing, I'm going to work this upward. I'm also going to blend this into where my hairline is, like so where like my sideburns basically are. I'm going to work them into that. And then into that highlighter, just so it's nice and seamless and they can kind of coexist. And I'm gonna go back to my cream contour and I'm gonna take my brush and directly dip it onto the product. This is actually one of my favorite ways to apply a product like this. And then work it a little more into my hairline. Just stippling that product in. And I'm gonna grab a small pencil brush. Any pencil brush will do. So taking this product, I'm gonna use this to enhance my lips without using, or before I use my lip liner, before I go in with any of my lip products, I'm gonna use this to give myself like more of like a J-Lo type lip. This is a great, great trick. If you want your lips to look fuller, this is the tip. This is the trick. Don't think only like, you know, I just need to overdraw my lips with a lip liner. No, this is like what you actually need to do if you want to fake it and look like you have bigger lips without obviously going and overdrawing them with a lip liner. So taking my pencil brush, I'm gonna start right where my Cupid's bow is. So right here. And I'm gonna fill in and create a bigger, darker shadow in between my Cupid's bow. And that's gonna give me the illusion of having a fuller, even more lifted top lip. Now, normally I'd recommend doing this step with a more cool toned cream product or just a cool toned, even powder bronzer or cool toned powder, but this will still work. It's warmer than I typically would recommend, so just kind of keep that in mind. So it's gonna look more warm on my skin, especially on camera, but it still is gonna work. And if anything, the takeaway is it's like the best trick for fuller lips. And I personally love this trick on myself because my lips have a lot of pigment to them as far as like the inside of my lips goes, but the outside, like the actual lip, my actual lip line, there's just not much pigment. I've never had a lot of pigment on the outside lip line. Like some people have very defined and pigmented lip lines naturally. For me, the only pigmentation that I really have on my lips is towards the center. So this really helps me a lot. Okay, so without going too crazy, I'm gonna do my bottom lip now. But instead of going all along my bottom lip, I'm only going to create more shadow and more depth right here. So I already have a shadow here, right? So I'm just gonna enhance it. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker just so I can fake it till I make it. You could go like this. But I already know where I'm gonna apply this, so I don't really need to make a funny face. But by lifting your bottom lip up, it will help you when you're doing this on yourself. It will help you a lot and it will guide you and it'll show you exactly where to place it. It kind of like gets the bottom lip out of the way. I'm just gonna lightly blend along like the pillow of the lip. So around the pillow of each side of my lip. So moving on to blush, I'll be using a liquid blush. This one is from the brand Freck Beauty. They actually sent me this blush and a couple other shades, and this has been my favorite by far. This shade is so pretty. Like I wish they had this in a powder form, in a lipstick form, in a lip liner form. It's just so gorgeous. It's like this nice natural peachy tone. Anyway, the color is called Cuffed. So I'm gonna take this and I'm going to squeeze some out on the top of my hand using that same Real Techniques brush that I used earlier from my cream contour. You can see there's only like small remnants of that contour on the brush, which is totally fine. I'm going to buff this into my brush. And I mean like fully buff it in to the point where it is completely worked into the bristles of my brush. And this is just gonna help me easily blend it onto my cheeks and I'll have to work a lot less. Starting high up. I'm gonna work this on top of my cheek And I'm gonna go towards my temple so it's just nice and seamless and it just blends into the rest of the makeup. I don't want to see a hard stop with my makeup. Like I don't want to see where like a hard stop in terms of like where my blush ends and then where my bronzer begins and then where my highlighter begins. Like you want things to be seamless and you want them to kind of flow together. I'm gonna brush a little bit of this across my nose. I'm gonna go back in with my sponge I used earlier for my concealer, and I'm going to blend out any creases that happened since we haven't set it yet. Now I'm going to go in and set my under eye concealer. I'll be using the loose universal powder from Chanel. This is a great everyday loose setting powder. So I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to pour it in the palm of my hand. Same sponge that's still damp. Now here's where it's tricky because I don't want to dump out all the powder that's in this hand, but I also need to use this hand to hold this mirror. So this is going to look really awkward. And this is what you want your sponge to look like. You don't want it to be like chunks of powder. Like this powder is very evenly distributed throughout this sponge, and that's why I use my hand to really work it in so I don't get chunks of powder when I'm applying it. I'm gonna take a little bit on my chin where we highlighted. I'm gonna get the center of my forehead where it's a little too shiny. Like I love a glowy forehead, but I don't like glow right in this region of my forehead. That area should be more matte or more satin, in my opinion. I'm gonna take the last bit of this powder. I'm gonna get the side of my smile lines. I don't have smile lines, I have more like jowls. So that's where I'm gonna put this powder. And a little bit over my nose. I'm gonna move on to lip before I do my bottom lash line just because I'm really excited to use this lip liner. I've been loving it so much. It is from Givenchy. It's the 10 beige mousseline. I think I'm saying that right. Great tip if you're going to put a lipstick on top that is more like glowy or sheer or has like any kind of like creaminess to it, because if you put it on top of just bare lips, it's just not going to last long at all and you'll have to reapply it a lot more. So if you fill in your entire lip with your lip line, it's going to act like a primer and a base and something to give your lipstick like something that to grip onto, basically. And I'm going to lightly feather in the rest of my lip. Now grabbing one of my all-time favorite lipsticks, period. This is the Rouge Coco 402 Adrienne. This is just like the perfect, one of the most perfect neutral pink lipsticks. So good. So pretty, but you can see it has a lot of shine to it. So like I said, lipsticks like that, they just don't have a lot of staying power. They don't have longevity. So a great tip is just to fill in your whole lip with that lip liner and it will give it something to stick to. Moving on to highlighter, I will be using, I have not used this yet, so I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be extremely glowy from what it looks like in the packaging. This is the Givenchy Prism Libre highlighter. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, so just give me a pass. I tried. It's the color 10 Organza Or. So I've already opened this and I know the idea is It comes with like the cutest little powder puff you'll ever see. Like this is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like I'll never use this because I just want to keep this along with like my little Chanel ones that I've collected over the years, and I want to like put them in like a shadow box and just look at them because they're so cute. Like I don't want to make this dirty and actually use it on my face. Anyway, so the idea is it's 4 different shades and you mix them together. So you use them together because obviously you wouldn't be able to like use each one individually unless you were like closing each one up. So I'm going to take this and instead of pouring it into the cap, I'm going to pour it into the palm of my hand. So using a fluffy brush, this one's from Morphe, I'm going to blend into the palm of my hand. Wow. Ooh. That's like major glow. Wow. Get the bridge of my nose. I'm going to get the tip of my nose and just a little across my forehead, just for a more spring glow. But wow, this highlighter packs a punch. It's like, not messing around. Let's just take the rest and get my collarbone. Going back finally to the bottom lash line, I'll be taking that same Huda Beauty palette, and this time I'll be using a 226 smudger brush from Zoeva. I love this brush. I use this all the time on my channel. And I'll be dipping into those first 2 neutral shades and applying them both on my bottom lash line. I switched my 239 brush from MAC and just use that to blend the rest of this shadow. Dipping into this medium brown now. Tapping off the excess. There's actually a lot of fallout with that color in particular. Okay, and then a mascara. I'm gonna use the curl and length side for this mascara because the other side is a little too big of a brush for my bottom lash line. A little too messy. So this whole eyeshadow look is completely matte. Even the liquid eyeliner dried down to a super matte finish. But to add a little shine, which I love, I'm going to take that same Givenchy highlighter and I'm going to place this in my tear duct. Taking a 231 Luxe Petite crease brush from Zoeva. Nice. So just adding a touch of shimmer and sparkle in that inner corner just really helps to balance out the rest of that really matte eyeshadow look and just gives it like some nice contrast. And that completes my spring makeup look. I love this look. I love these tones. I love these shades. Like lavender with peach is just such a gorgeous color combo. And lavender especially, or anything in the purple family like eggplant or plum or berries, are super complimentary on brown eyes. So I love the way this eyeliner looks on my eyes. I think it really helps to just bring out my eye color and enhance it even more. Let me know in the comments too if you've tried like any of the purple tones or lavenders on your eyes, whether you have brown eyes or not. I think they're just super flattering and beautiful on any eye color. So I hope you love this spring makeup look. If you do, please give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm also on Instagram. I'm at Makeup by Nikki LaRose. I share other makeup tutorials and makeup looks on there as well, so go check that out. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.